Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. Today we get the pleasure of speaking to our founder, Deedee Cummings, and she's going to be joining us to talk about New Year's resolutions. Do you make resolutions? Let us know in the comments and what your resolutions are. But what I love is she's going to be talking to us to give us a different perspective on New Year's resolutions. Sometimes I think we have kind of a negative feels like you make them and then you don't keep them. But she's going to be talking to us about resolutions as a way to keep a promise to yourself, which I love that idea. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's been a busy week, kids back to school and some changes in our schedule. But how about you?
Everything's going good. I just got a notice that said Louisville Book Festival going live. Am I live under Louisville Book Festival?
Yes.
Oh,
That's all right.
I didn't mean to be. This beginning of the year has been pretty hectic. So talking about New Year's resolutions is timely.
Yeah. So what do you usually make New Year's resolutions?
I don't usually make New Year's resolutions. That's what I wanted to talk about today, because I want to take the pressure off of some people with, I think that there is a certain amount of pressure that comes along with the year turning over, like we're supposed to turn over too. And so I wanted to offer a different perspective on New Year's resolutions, because some people put a great amount of pressure on themselves. So I don't tend to make resolutions, but I make promises to myself, which is similar to a resolution, but it's different in that I'm not putting pressure on myself to lose 50 pounds or to stop eating sugar, which is just not really realistic. I used to think maybe it was realistic that you could stop eating sugar, but I don't know if you've noticed how much sugar is just in like ketchup,
Yes, or even I read somewhere about
Yeah.
bread. If you read just like the package of bread you get,
Mhm.
it also has a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Plus, that always seems so negative. I feel like if my resolution is to stop doing something, then it just feels so like negative on myself, as opposed to like I have trouble, stopping myself from eating something. Instead, I'm trying to do things like eat more vegetables or
Mhm.
more water. So it's something like, I feel like it's something
Yeah.
positive I'm doing, as opposed to like feeling bad for something else I've been doing, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I was going to say that's an excellent point, because really we do like
Right.
vegetables, especially as an adult. Maybe as kids we're not that crazy about vegetables,
Yeah.
but when you grow up, your tastes change and you do start to enjoy vegetables. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to promise to eat more broccoli, and I love broccoli, then that will carry you a lot further than saying no chocolate. If you
Right.
eat more broccoli, it might make you drink more water,
Right.
and your body will naturally want less chocolate. So it is a great way to reframe, giving yourself permission to do something that you actually enjoy, instead of trying to put handcuffs on yourself and say, you
Right.
can't have chocolate, which if you love chocolate, that might not be realistic.
Right.
Um, I forgot to turn my notices off, so I'm getting notices. I've been thinking about writing a blog about things you need to do before you go live, because there are a lot of things you wouldn't think of. Like Instagram does an update every single week.
Yes, I know
Yeah.
you were the one that told me that to make sure to update
Before.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I forgot to turn my notices off, so I might be a little bit distracted, but I want to talk about resolutions because I want you to think of them more as promises to yourself. So recently I was talking to a niece of mine who's a teenager, and you know how hard it is being a teenager. And I promised her that I would call her more.
Oh,
Resolutions can be like that.
right.
And I promised her that when I call her, I will walk and she will walk. So these are better ways of going about achieving a greater goal of being healthy or being more active. Because when we put this pressure on ourselves, I know so many people whose New Year's resolution is lose 50 pounds every single year. It's the same,
Right.
it's the same thing. But when we make promises to people that are close to us in life, like if we promise to cook dinner more, or we promise to be home a little earlier, things like that, that takes a lot of pressure off of these traditional resolutions. And for some reason, we have an easier time keeping promises we make towards other people than we do to ourselves. So take some of the pressure off. You know, don't look at it as a traditional New Year's resolution. Look at it as a promise that you're going to make to yourself for something that you will do that will add value or joy or more comfort to your life. Another resolution I have is I have this sunlight. It's a actual light. I have it here. I'll get it so I can show it to you. I should have already had it out.
No, that's all right.
But my doctor told me about this light, and I've been using it, and it really does work. Just get it online, and you can Google light therapy, Light therapy, and it gives you some of the same type of light that sun rays give you in the summertime. So we're putting this expectation on ourselves to make resolutions during a time of year where it's really hard to be motivated.
Yes.
The days are shorter. It's almost like, talk about setting yourself up to fail, you know. The days are shorter. It's dark a lot, even when the days, even when it's daytime, it tends to be darker than summertime. It's cold. You know, we're just not as motivated to do things. So when you take care of yourself, you're also more likely to keep those promises to yourself. Because I get seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. A lot of people, you know, when I tell them about it, they'll say, "Is that real?" And it is real.
Right.
We get sad when it's cold and it's dark. And if you have any traumatic experiences during the wintertime, like I did, my mom was very, very ill with cancer during the whole holiday season, and then she died in February, many years ago, not recently. But I still get those triggers, you know, when it comes to the holiday season. I tend to feel a little overwhelmed, and I don't really know why until I pay attention to myself. So my resolutions are things like, I promise to listen to the voice that's talking in my head. I promise to eat more broccoli. I don't have to lose 50 pounds. I promise to eat more broccoli. I promise to drink more water. They're promises that I make to myself, and then I remind myself, you don't have any problems keeping promises to other people. So you shouldn't have any problem keeping a promise to yourself. And I write it down. If you write down your goals, you're way more likely to make them happen and to be reminded of them. So I promise myself, and I write that down, that I'm going to listen to me. Let's see, did somebody say something? Oh, free Palestine. Yes, I agree. Yes, thank you for coming on here and reminding us of that. I wonder how many people are actually on now, but I want to say hi to everybody. And yeah, there's a lot going on in the world right now, which is another reason why we need to promise to ourselves that we're gonna take care of ourselves. Because if you're just consumed with the negativity in the world, you're going to be way less likely to keep those promises to yourself.
And you know, we've talked before about taking care of yourself isn't selfish. We know there are these big issues, big issues and problems in the world, and of course we want to be involved and make a difference in that, but we have to make sure that we can keep ourselves going so that we have something to give to others. And I'm going to say, I love that you have the promises to yourself with, like you said, things that bring joy and value as opposed to something really negative. Also, so since we know we do have trouble keeping promises to ourselves, do you have any other tips about how you can do that? I know you said about like writing it down. I know some people have like an accountability partner, or kind of like you're doing with your niece, where you promise to walk when you call each other. Do you have any other tips about that?
Yes, I have a lot of tips. And I apologize for people who are getting on who might be affiliated with Book Festival. I meant to get on this live from my author account. I don't know how I went live with Louisville Book Festival, but it's okay. You'll be introduced to Deedee Cummings, so that's great. But yes, more tips for how to keep the promise to yourself. Don't forget the promise. So that's why it's so important to write down what you want to do. Put it on a sticky note. so that you can see it every day. Put it on a sticky note and put it beside your bed or on the mirror when you're brushing your teeth, and you can look at it and really think about it when you see it. Write down what the promise is to yourself. I promise to pour into me today. And say it out loud. Let it absorb into your mind. Don't just, over time, you'll get used to the sticky note being there. Hi, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I remember meeting you at the Louisville Book Festival. So thank you for saying that you love this talk. I appreciate that. But, let it sink into your mind so that you're not just going through the motions. We're so set up to almost be like these automated robots. Have you ever driven to the office or driven your kids somewhere that's a regular thing? Like, I know your daughter, participates in activities, and you drop her off and you're like, how did I get here?
Yes.
That's how automated we are, that we just live by this time clock and this calendar, and we often don't think about our actions and our steps. So if you have these reminders and you let it absorb into your mind while you're brushing your teeth, you look at the sticky note, I'm going to pour into me today. Then when you get your lesson, maybe that'll be time that you'll keep the promise to yourself to pour into you, and you'll listen to an audio book. I saw Kayla, who's on our live right now, I saw that she posted on her social media that she's reading or listening to Atomic Habits. So that is something that you can do to pour into yourself, is drop your kids off at practice, and instead of sitting in the parking lot and shoving a McDonald's burger down your throat because you haven't eaten all day, chill out and listen to something like Atomic Habits. For me, my go-to book is You Are a Badass. That's my favorite motivational book, because it talks about the power of the universe and how the universe really does want you to succeed. So remind yourself of that too when you're trying to keep this promise, that things really will work in your favor when you take that step. Just take the step, and the universe will find ways to help you achieve the promises to yourself. But also, an accountability partner is a great idea. We have all kinds of technology now, like setting reminders in your phone. I have a reminder in my phone that reminds me to drink water. I have a reminder in my phone that reminds me to stop and breathe.
How do you have, is it an app, or you just set like an alarm on your phone?
I set an alarm on my phone.
Oh, I never thought to do that. Yeah. That's really cool.
I set an alarm on my phone, and then I say, oh, I need to drink water and I need to stop and breathe. Because I do have a tendency to go from one thing to another so automatically, like a robot, I have to intentionally slow myself down.
I love that. And especially having the alarm. I know that I've had to do that with other things, like, like taking medicine or doing this. I have all these alarms on my phone, but I've never thought to set one for something like that. That's really smart.
So really, the last thing I want to say about resolutions is, remember that we're in winter when we are making these resolutions. And winter is really a time where, in our season of winter, I'm not saying that the whole world is on this cycle, but in our season of winter, our planet slows down. Things either don't grow or don't grow as quickly. The sun doesn't shine as much. It gets darker faster. Winter may not be the best time for you to try to make major life changes, like getting up and going to the gym and promising yourself you're going to lose 50 pounds. It's a really hard time of year, so to do a lot of things. So maybe what you should think about is planning for spring. You know how people like kind of till the ground to get it ready to plant? Winter's a great time to kind of like till the ground and figure out what you want to do. And then when spring comes, you'll automatically have more motivation, because we all feel that motivation the first time that you open up the window and you can hear the birds singing again, and the sun just shines just a little bit sweeter, and the wind blows and it feels good instead of brisk and harsh. So winter is really truly not the best time to set resolutions, because winter is a time when the earth is preparing for the next time it'll bloom. So maybe we should do that too.
I like that. Like, take it more as kind of a time for reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Things are, like you said, things are slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
So more planning ahead, and especially beginning of spring, you're right. Like, everybody feels a little
Yeah.
happier. You have a little more energy. Feel like getting out of the house and
Mm-hmm.
doing something, as opposed to just wanting to kind of burrow into your
Yeah.
blankets.
Yeah. Burrow is a great word, because that, yeah, I feel. But wintertime is a good time to think and plan and listen to those books and prepare for the season to come when you'll want to bloom.
It reminds me of, maybe there's a little bit of a tangent, but the image I have of it is, I don't know if you ever read any of the books. I know people have a lot of problems now with, like, the Little House on the Prairie series, which I do too, but I read them all when I
Mhm.
was a kid, and they were, or maybe similar ones, and they were farmers, and they were so busy all through the year except for the winter. They couldn't go out and do things, or what they, there was so much snow and everything else, and so they would stay in the house and they would repair their tools. They would, like you said, they were planning ahead for the next year, but it was that time where things would slow down and they would have more time for reflection and
Yeah,
preparation. And so that's why I just kind of have that image of them all huddled in their house around
yeah,
the fire, getting ready for the
yeah,
spring. So that makes a lot of
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a great way to think about it, because we don't have to put all the pressure on ourselves that we do. So, yeah. Well, I appreciate everybody who joined us today. Thank
Yes. If you missed this, if you're just joining us late, we are talking about a new perspective on New Year's resolutions, thinking of them more as a promise you keep to yourself. And we will have this up on Instagram in a few minutes and later on our YouTube channel. So, and we'd love to hear from you if you're watching it now or later. Let us know in the comments if you make New Year's resolutions and what kind of promises you're making to yourself. And we will see you all next week, same time.
you. Thanks,
Thank
Leanna.
you. Bye.
Bye.